everybody for being here, and let's just get this debate started. Um, so, just to start off, the government team believes that, or just to get a situation, that student debt is greater than now than credit cards and auto loans, and it's only second to credit cards. So student loan debt, it's kind of like HPV. If you go to college, you're gonna get it, and it will follow you the rest of your life. So that brings me to the resolution. This House believes that higher education needs a change. Sub observation one, subpoint A, government reserves the right to define. We define this as policy because the word change signifies that we need to change something with a policy. Subpoint B, terms. This House, we're going to do Congress. Higher education means like colleges, universities. Uh, a change just means something has to, that's happening now has to stop. And it's kind of contextual with our plan. So get on to subpoint C, the plan that Congress passes a bill that outlaws for-profit colleges. And just to give a little bit of background about for-profit colleges for the benefit of everybody, 13% of U.S. College students attend these colleges, but those 13% also have 30% of all student loan debt. These colleges spend twice the amount of money on marketing than they do on teachers, and most students do not graduate from them. They've been involved in scamming veterans out of money by having veterans with brain damage so they can't even remember the classes they take, but admitting them so they can get benefits from the GI Bill. And we believe, as the opposition, that no one should be profiting off a person's education, or that profiting off an education should not be a college's first goal. So so the D point is going to be net benefits, the criterion, and then let's just get into some advantages. First of all, relief. There's no way right now. There's really no way a student can escape, or a person can escape student loan debt. It follows them forever, and it keeps going with them. And right now, so subpoint B, our for-profit colleges charge a lot of money. They account for 30% of the student loan debt. And we propose to eliminate that through a congressional law that's going to ban them. This is going to get rid of all for-profit colleges and will lead things to like people will have more money to spend. So if they're spending more money, that will then increase the economy. They'll be able to provide better for their families. They won't have to put all their income into paying off this large amount of debt that's following them. Yes.
Can you either give me an example or explain the difference between, let's say, a private university and a for-profit university?
Okay, so a for-profit university is a college that's first goal is to make money off the students. A private college goal is to educate first, to create networks for people, and then they benefit off the networks and the endowments they get from it. But it's like they're trying to do a good job so that they'll get get some return in the future. So as opposed to a for-profit colleges, all they want to do is get money from you right now. So the tuition is where for-profits make their money. Endowments is where private colleges really make their money. But thank you for asking that. Advantage 2, student success. Right now, less than 50% of the students who go to these colleges graduate, and even less than that get to work in the field of their choice. So an example of this is 115 students in 2012 enrolled in ITT Tech's engineering program. However, only 27 of those 115 graduated, and only 13 found work in their desired field. So only 13 are working in the engineering sector, and that's not even to say what kind of jobs they got. Right now, it's not going to change because for-profits exist and they are being championed by the by Congress's Education Committee. Our plan would then get rid of for-profit colleges right now, and that's going to lead us to the impact. Students will then choose better options, such as a community college like we're going to, trade schools. Really, any sort of education is better than these for-profit colleges. And this will increase the economy. We'll have more workers. People will be able to realize self-actualization. They'll be happier. They'll be able to fulfill themselves as people and be more well-rounded as opposed to being in this Ponzi scheme. Next off, we're going to call mental health. Right now, it's documented that people with student loan debt are way more likely to have depression and neuroses. That's not going to stop as long as we still have this student loan debt. And since for-profit colleges account for 30% of all of the U.S. student loan debt, our plan is going to reduce that. Our impacts then will be people will be happier, people will be able to contribute more. You've heard the expression, if you're happier in your job, you work harder, you're more efficient. This will also stimulate the economy. People will be better workers, they'll try harder, they'll give it everything they have. So this is why the government believes that we need to get rid of for-profit colleges. I did not time myself, so I had no idea what that was.
6:48. You're like right on. You're good.
What's the episode?
Yeah.
I was like trying to feel it out.
So did you do a third advantage?
As mental health.
Okay.
I flipped the page and it was just blank, and I was looking down on it the whole time, and I was like, gonna make this up. Go along. Can I ask a question before we get started? Should we stop talking between? Because I do that a fuck ton. Like between.
Like us right now.
Like yeah.
I think we're okay. Like in a real debate, no.
Yeah,
but
I know
yes,
in
you
a real
should.
debate.
I think right now, like we're just all trying to get better.
Yes.
So I think having a little bit of conversation without, if it's going to promote a better debate, is good for all of us.
Right.
Okay, so like
Yeah.
I was just saying.
I mean, I would not like we shouldn't be asking additional questions. We should force that in. But if it's just like, hey,
Right.
this, and it makes the debate better,
Sure.
I'm all for it.
Okay.
Now, Tom, do you want what you told me to do now, or does it matter?
I might ask you for it. I'm not sure.
Okay,
I got so much to get through.
So if I make one and you might,
Yeah.
then I can toss.
So I'm going to go
Okay.
on case first with the 3 on case arguments, and I'm going to move off case with the counter plan. Once again, everyone, thank you for being here. We've been given this extremely important topic that this House believes higher education needs a change. Within the resolution analysis subpoint A, they asked this to be a policy. They've enacted a change. We're perfectly okay with that. The actors are fine. We're just going to point out that needing a change is singular. It's a singular change. So you can only change one thing. Now, their plan is that Congress will pass a plan that outlaws for-profit colleges. We're just going to get straight into their advantages. Their first advantage is relief. They say that student debt follows people everywhere and that these for-profit colleges are charging a lot of money, which is putting students in debt. My first response to this is that just because a student does not go to a for-profit school doesn't mean they won't go somewhere else, which does not mean they won't incur student debt somewhere else. So incurring student debt somewhere else is still student debt. Whether the student debt is here, whether the student debt is there, in the end, it's still student debt. So there really is no solvency here, because either A, less people are going to go to school, in which they decrease education, or B, they're going to assume student debt somewhere else. Let's get on to student success. You talked about the harms being that I believe 50% of all people graduate from these private colleges. We were given one example, which was ITT Tech. I have that 13 found work in their field. I want to say 28 graduated, 27 graduated. So again, not a high success rate, so we will concede that. I will point out that people finding work in their given and chosen fields, they're at about 8 to 10%. So I don't think this is highly unique. A lot of people are graduating from colleges all over the country currently and not being able to find work in their given field. A lot of professionals are going back to colleges right now in order to re-educate themselves or more educate themselves in order to be more marketable to the public workplace. People all the time accept jobs that are not in their chosen field. Working is working. Not everybody has their dream job. Not everybody gets what they work. He talked about that some of the impacts of this is self-actualization, and they can choose a better option. Well, again, choosing a better option, which I believe that he referred to going to community colleges like we go to, going to other four-year universities or non-for-profit colleges. Again, that implies you still have the ability and the likelihood of accruing student loans. Junior college students, including these colleges right here that we all go to, you have the ability to accrue student loans while working on a 2-year degree here, while just taking classes to here. So this does not necessarily eliminate student loans. They've shown no causation that student loans would be eliminated, only that they would not be going to for-profit colleges. Yes, sir.
Would you say that cheaper colleges, cheaper options such as trade schools and community colleges, make people incur the same amount of student loan?
I would say that the way the student loan process works right now is it's based on whether you want to. It's not based on credit. If you ask for a student loan, you get a student loan. Whether you need the money or not, you can still incur the debt of a student loan. So yes, if a school costs more, that does not mean there's still a limit as to how much student loans you can take out. So you may not even be covering your trade school, and you can incur the exact same amount of student loans at a JC as you would at USC. Exact amount, because there are limits on these loans. So I'm going to go into, I believe it's advantage, I'll call it number 3, but I think it might be advantage number 4, mental health. The harms there is that people with student debts are, I believe, unhealthy or more likely to deal with stress. They have the stress of those loans. The inherency is these colleges are forcing them to accrue debt. Again, their solvency is that it reduces debt. Again, I say no solvency here because they've previously said people will take other options. They may go to other colleges. Again, they can incur debt at other colleges. So I don't think what they're saying is they're going to have less debt they're going to have less stress if their loan is from USC versus ITT Tech. Stress of a loan is still a stress of a loan. People have learned to deal and manage with stress all the time. It also says it would contribute to more money being available to spend on other things. Again, I say this is not necessarily true. They've shown no solvency to link this because, again, people, if they're going to continue to go to colleges, they're going to go to colleges somewhere else. Or if they can't afford to go to colleges, then I think you can actually turn that and say that's actually a disadvantage because less people being in college means less education. So let's move on to the counter plan. Now, in the counter plan, Congress will require for graduation from any university, any type of degree, meaning if you only want to get an associate's degree, or obviously if you transfer to a 4-year university, you'll always already have the associate's degree, will require a class on feminism. In which, again, we will require a class on feminism. Now, just a little background, there are requirements for education and graduation already. Some of which in the Cal State schools is public speaking. Some of it is interpersonal communication. We have math requirements. We have STEM requirements. So we are going to require a class on feminism. Now, just so we know, let's get into counter contention number 1. And now you can tagline this, furthering education. Currently, 38% of all women and 18% of all men identify themselves as feminists. That's 38% of all women and 18% of all men. The inherency here is feminism is about equality, and it's mistakenly been given a stereotype about that it being the promotion of one rights or another. This is about the promotion of equality for all sexes. The working definition of feminism is the theory of political, economic, and social equality of the sexes. Now, the solvency here is by requiring a class on feminism, we now outreach to everybody, man, women, transgender, about equality for all. Everyone getting an education will now have a promotion of equality. This is going to have the impacts of greater understanding, continued education, more social awareness, more social advantages. Counter contention number 2, violence against women. Currently, 51.9% of all women in the United States will be the actor of some form of violence. 17% will receive sexual assault. 4.6% will be, I'm sorry, 1/4 will be assaulted by an intimate partner. The inherency here is that violence is about control and power. When we break down the control and power stereotypes that perpetuate men in certain positions or women in a less dominant position, we eliminate this. The solvency is that our plan teaches, again, equality to all. It also negates the negative stereotype of feminism and understanding that the word feminism is not about the promotion of one sex or the other, it's the promotion of equal sexes. My impact here is greater education, greater understanding. My third counter contention, I'm going to get to this quickly, is paternal rights. The harms right now is men have less likelihood of having paternal rights in court. 71% of high school dropouts come from fatherless homes. 90% of all sexual violence comes from homes of children without fathers. The inherency here is the stereotype still perpetuates that women's rights are greater than men's rights when it comes to paternity. 90% of all child support is paid for by men, with up to 44% never actually having visitation rights. My solvency here is that, again, promotion of gender and all equality rights. My impacts here is better parenting, less violence against children, less divorce, more stability, and again, the continuing education and promotion of all for equality of all sexes. Thank you.
Dang, that was a lot to go over. So I didn't ready yet. Basically,
I really thought that plan was funny. Like, not funny, but I liked it. Like, it was. I smiled when it started. It was just like And when Tara came out, I should have been thinking feminism, but I didn't. Like, I don't know why, but Tom, you've been all over feminism recently.
Matt, if you're watching, I hope you're proud.
Don't be proud. He's using that as a joke, and
Or that I increased my learning capacity.
there is nothing jocular about this side of the arena.
You should tell your partner that because he's the one making fun of it.
All right, quick roadmap. I'm going to go in the same order they went in, with case and then counterplan and off case. Big thanks to everybody for being here today. I'm going to get to our case arguments first. And first and foremost, let me just give a thesis of what we've proposed to do from the beginning of our round and what we're going to do throughout, which is we're going to lower the amount of student debt and at the same time increase student success by abolishing these for-profit colleges that really have no place in our educational system. So moving to our Advantage 1 tagline, relief. They had one response to our structured out position, which was essentially a no solvency argument, like a defensive argument, saying, well, even if you outlaw the for-profit colleges, then the students are still going to accrue debt elsewhere. And my response is, one, yes, but not as much. So we're still solving because, like Spencer brought up in his speech, they're more likely to go to a trade school or a community college, which a community college costs less than half of what these for-profit colleges charge. So so if they are going to take out a loan, it'd be less than half. But my second response is they're a lot less likely to take out a loan because for-profit colleges don't offer financial aid to students, whereas community colleges and public universities do. So they're more likely to get financial aid as well. So it's a lot less likely that they're going to take out a student loan and that it will be for as much money. Yes.
Just to get some clarification, you said that these for-profit schools do not offer financial aid. Financial aid being something, are you referring to like as Pell Grants, like federal grant programs?
Yes, that federal grant programs would be included,
Okay,
including Pell Grants. So they're just not as likely, and so we're still providing relief. So now drop down to the impact level where we say that this is going to stimulate the economy, and it will once people aren't accruing as much debt at these for-profit colleges, and they're able to. That means they're going to have more credit, which means they're going to be able to buy houses easier, cars, whatever it is that they would like to buy to stimulate the economy. So that's our first impact there. Our second one is an increase in the quality of life, and this kind of cross applies to our advantage 3 of mental health, is that when people either A, don't have college loan debt, or B, have less, that you're going to see an increase of quality of life because they're not as stressed, they're more willing to work, and they have more money. And they can provide for their family in a way that they see fit instead of having to buy junk food because it's cheaper because they need the rest to pay off their college loan. Now on to our advantage 2 of student success. Again, we had a structured out advantage here, and there were 2 responses. The first one was non-unique, where we talk about, like, so not only are these for-profit colleges really expensive, but students don't succeed there. Students don't achieve what they want to achieve, which in most cases it's a degree and it's a job. And where we talk about our example of ITT Tech, 115 enrolled, 27 graduate. So that's far less than 50%. I don't know of a university that graduates its students at a rate under than 50% and is still looked at as a good institution. And he says that part of the non-uniqueness is that of the 27 that graduated, 13 ended up working in the engineering field. And the opposition says that, well, that's pretty common. Most people don't work in the field that they get a degree in. And I'm going to say that while that may be true, they're a lot less likely at a for-profit school to end up working in the field that they want. A lot of this is because of the decreased graduation rate. So if people aren't graduating, they're a lot less likely to get a job, and then of that, a lot less likely to then get a job in the field that they want. Their next response was on the impact level, which is where they basically say, well, we don't eliminate student loans. And yeah, we're not saying we eliminate 100% of the student loan market, but when Spencer talks about, in a little bit of background after his interpretation, where 13% of American college students go to for-profit colleges, and of those 13% account for 30% of the entire college loan debt in our country. So if we can eliminate that 30%, then we're eliminating some student loans. We're not eliminating all student loans, but we'll be eliminating some and we'll be decreasing some. So that means we still get impacts to our advantages of more workers, of achieving self-actualization, and a stronger economy as a result of more workers. Yes?
Since I believe we both agree that you're not going to eliminate all student debt from these private schools, do you have any type of percentages or any type of dollar amounts you can quantify what's going to be saved?
Yeah, so good question. So to quantify, I'd say it's the number Spencer brought up. 30% of student loans is what we will eliminate. So we'll take out 30% of student loans, and that's 30% of student loans are currently due to for-profit colleges. We remove for-profit colleges, therefore we remove 30% of student loan debt. So we get our impacts to advantage 2 on advantage 3 of mental health. The one response that I flowed, and Judge, you may have more, but the one that I got is a no solvency argument that, like, well, because they still will have the options now to go to other places and still will have the option to take out a loan, that they're still going to take out a loan and that they're still going to have basically these mental health issues. And basically my responses are the same as they were on our first advantage, or second advantage, I believe, which is that the alternatives cost a lot less. That someone who's looking to go to a for-profit college who now doesn't have that opportunity is most likely looking at a community college or a trade school, which cost a lot less, as well as provide a lot more in financial aid. So it's a lot less likely that they take out these loans, and if they decide to take it out, a lot less likely that they take out a loan for as much money.
Can you oh, sorry.
Yeah, I'm finishing up. So so advantage 3, so flow across our impacts of willingness to work and decrease in depression and those kinds of things. Now I'm going to get to their counterplan. They said that, was it Congress who's going to require a class on feminism in order to graduate? Something like that. So my first response is there's no competition. We can do both. So perm, we can have Congress outlaw for-profit colleges, and at the same time require a class on feminism to graduate. So that's one test of competition. Another, and then one response that I have to this is basically a disadvantage of or of federally controlled education, where the state is now saying you're not free to get the education that you want. We're going to enforce the kinds of things that you should be learning, which is very antithetical to our own values and freedoms. So the impact of that ultimately is people being unhappy, people revolting, people not going to the feminism class. So with that, I encourage a vote for opposition. Thank you. Or for government. Thank you.
You need to stop doing that.
Yeah.
This is the second time in a row.
I know.
Like as your partner.
I know. It's upsetting, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
like,
no, like I don't care here, but
I'm like, all right, now that I'm done, vote for the other team.
hey, no puppeting.
You follow?
Yep.
You follow the line?
No puppeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are
He's
you
even,
doing?
And
he's
then
even doing like the
hey,
marionette hands.
and then you really want to reinforce everything because they didn't really touch on much of it.
Yeah.
Or any of it really.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long ago?
8 minutes.
Good. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. Let's do this. My opponents claim a perm on our plan, saying that if there's change that they can have both. Well, no, we define change as being singular, only one. They did not redefine that term, only one change, singular change. And so, by definition, they can't perm that because Congress has to make one decision. Are they going to institute a feminist education program, or are they going to outlaw a whole section of education? So let's respond to some of their problems. They claim that they are going to lower student loan debt. No, they're going to stop the increase of student loan debt if their plan was implemented. Just because a homeowner has his house taken away does not get away or does not get rid of his housing debt. Likewise, people or students, if you take away the schools, you're not going to get rid of the student debt. People have their debt. It doesn't go away. So unless there was a law that stipulated that, which they did not stipulate, then that plan is not claiming what they, or is not doing what they claimed it does. So like even if they also claim that even if they outlaw for profit, a lot less likely to take loans. I'm sorry. Let me not say that. Okay. Okay. Basically, they did not. Their plan does not do what they claim it does. Okay.
Focus on that.
So basically, our policy, to redefine it, they did not touch on many of the issues with our solution, and so let's run over those. So we require that the government institutes a plan not a plan, that requires all people getting a degree in higher education to have some sort of class on feminism, which is, as we defined it, the equality of all sexes. And immediate results of this come down to everyone getting a more rounded education. Violence against women, as we stated, violence against women is at a greater rate. Okay. I'm not articulating well.
Just kind of go through things like line by line.
Yeah, I need to take better notes.
Catch your breath.
Okay. Okay. Violence against women. Yeah, I don't think I. Sorry, I don't have anything. Are there any questions from my opponents? Okay. Yeah. So. Class, which is like a philosophy kind of thing. So it's
Yeah,
forcing
their ideals
on people against our ideals of freedom of speech and education and those kinds of things.
I'd call it
Same thing. You could
I think Jared talked about a federalist argument one time, like last semester, so that's why I called it that.
That works.
Yeah.
Well, once again, thank you everyone for being here. I mean, we just such an incredible audience we have watching today. I'm going to get straight into my voters. My voter number one is our counter plan, which is the promotion of feminism. Our promotion of feminism is all inclusive to everyone that goes to a college, to a university. We help everyone. This is not a program for men. It's not a program about women. We can see the importance of this just strictly, recently by a speech by Emma Watson to the United Nations. This is a very, very important issue. My voter number two is that the two plans are mutually exclusive and that you have a forced choice. As my partner pointed out, we define change as a singular action. There was no opposition to that. They accepted that. So they asked Congress to do something. We asked Congress to do something. Because a change can only be one, only one of these can happen. You can either implement a plan which eliminates private colleges, or you can implement for-profit colleges, or you can implement a plan which puts feminism in the curriculum for graduation for every single student. Now, again, I guess you can make your own personal choice as to what you find more important, but if you're looking for solvency, again, they say they're going to eliminate 30% of the debt from all these colleges. They even actively admitted that some of them will go back and take out student debts. So they can't even claim the solvency they've asked for, because you have to assume that not one single person takes out another student loan. So again, as my partner pointed out, they're reducing student debt in the future, not currently, because this would happen later. Our voter on this mutual exclusivity is that feminism and that the ideas behind feminism promotes better understanding for everybody, for all human beings, which have much more long-term reaches. Okay, you can actually, my voter number three is violence against women. You can flow all my impacts against because it was never touched upon. The member of government had a chance to touch on all these, and he said nothing. His one response to any of this was that the states could do it better than the federal government. That was his only response. He did not negate any of the impacts of how this would eliminate violence against women, so you can flow that all across. So right there, you need to vote for us. If we can eliminate and decrease violence against women, again, which world do you want? World where we eliminate and decrease violence against women, or a world where we eliminate just some debt from private for-profit colleges? You can also flow across my furthering education, that we're education everybody. These were completely untouched upon. And so again, my fifth voter is the promotion of paternal rights. None of these were ever touched upon. We talked about the high likelihood of children that have no fathers involved in their lives because of court rulings, that we've shown you that they're more likely to commit crime, more likely to be in prison. We've shown you that 90% of all child support is paid by fathers, and the amount that's paid by fathers with no visitation rights. So again, I ask you, Judge, which is a better world, where both the mother and father have equal opportunity and access to rights to their child, or the world where we reduce a little debt? And I remind you, this is a forced choice. This is not, oh, these are both good plans. This is that you have to choose one. You have to choose a world where feminism and the promotion of feminist and feminist ideas is more important, or a world where we look at the minute scope of for-profit universities and we eliminate them, but we don't eliminate those people going to other colleges, and we don't eliminate them taking out debt somewhere else. All we do is transfer one problem to another. My world helped focus on feminism. It's an issue that's much more prevalent in today's society. It's much more prevalent worldwide. So once again, I would ask you and urge you to vote a negative ballot, because feminism in today's world is a much more important issue, and we solve for a greater problem everywhere. Thank you.
In a debate, do you do that to your opponent? Like,
Oh yeah, that's a sign of respect.
oh really?
Yeah,
Oh, knocking is like
Yeah, that's-
clapping.
I know that, but like in an actual debate,
Yeah.
like if you said something awesome, I was like,
Oh yeah, I'll acknowledge it.
Yeah,
That's something
you
good.
could. I mean, generally, you don't want to knock if you like what they say. You just wait till after and then give them
Yeah.
oh,
the
I see.
obligatory
And
knock.
sometimes it's like a really good like one-liner. You'll like
Like a
acknowledge
joke
it.
or something. Yeah, you can. You
Okay,
can.
I get it.
But yeah, it's the same reason like we thank each other at the beginning of everything.
Mm.
It's not really we're not conceding anything. Okay, so I just want to touch on a few things they said, and then I'll get into my voters and my two worlds too. Okay, so let's start off with some simple math about debt. Right now, for-profit colleges, if 13% go to them, and they're the cause of 30% of all student loan debt in America, that means for every 1%, they get 2% of the debt. And now, regular institutions such as community college and four-year universities, that's 87% of the student body, and they only incur 70%. So simple math can tell you it's less than one. So we're dramatically reducing it by a whole percentage. And that might not seem like a lot when you're just talking about 1 percentage point, but when you're talking about education that's in the millions and billions of dollars range, it adds up to a whole lot. So just to clarify, so we're still solving for millions upon millions of dollars, if not $1 billion of student loan debt. And our plan did not remove all debt that past people have acquired, but it will stop this Ponzi scheme in its tracks right here, right now. No one else will fall victim to it. So we are preventing anyone else from suffering these consequences. So since we do have some solvency there, we do reduce debt considerably. We still get all our advantages. So let me just get into our voters. Oh, actually, before that, I'm going to talk about our DA, which is forcing ideals upon America. Right now, we have a system that tries to let anybody choose the college they want to attend to. If I want a liberal arts education, I go to a liberal arts college. If I want a science, I go to a science college. Right now, we have the freedom to choose, and that's what America was founded upon. But what their plan is, it's to force the government to make every single person take this class when it's not needed, that they might not even listen to or pay attention to. So they're forcing this class on people, which means people will protest the class, like my partner had said. That means less people are paying attention, which if no one's paying attention to their feminist class, how can they be learning, and how can any of their impacts cross-apply? So let's just get into my voters. First voters, debt is the debt relief. Right now we are going to reduce the debt of students. That's our first voter. If you think that student loans cause mental health disorders, which you should, because we gave you the information that it leads to neurosis and depression in people, we'll reduce that dramatically. Student success will also increase because people will have they will go to better institutions that are not meant to scam them out of money. So all our impacts of self-actualization, happier students, more stimulating the economy will work. So let's talk about the two worlds. One world where we take an obvious sort of Ponzi scheme and we fix it, we outlaw this institution, people get better educations, their quality of life goes up, it improves life for everybody. That's for 13% of college students, it will improve their quality of life, make them happier, make them more successful, increase the economy. On the other hand, you have a forced decision that takes away people's freedoms, doesn't help with their student loan debt at all, which is the major problem that our education system has right now, and will cause people to be outraged and less satisfied with the education they're getting because they don't have the right to choose it for themselves. Thank you. Is that any good? I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll turn it on.
Oh, you got it.
Yeah. I hate how you can't just